Yuta is an orphan boy who couldn't believe his eyes when he saw a demon emerging from a pool of blood and tightly holding his legs. He was a sick kid who met Rika in the hospital. They became inseparable friends until he saw Rika being hit by a car, and from that moment on, Yuta became cursed with the strongest demon. The demon reminded him about his promise that when he gets older, he would marry Rika. Afraid of being alone and missing his love, Yuta decides to keep the promise to always be with her. And from that moment on, Yuta became cursed. She haunted him every single day, turning him into a timid boy who was always lonely because he couldn't connect with other people. These traits turned him into a perfect target for bullying. Yet, during those moments, Rika would appear and deal with the bullies, protecting him. Rika became a rank S curse and has the power that can wipe out a city. So, the Exorcist Society decides to execute him because of the danger he poses to the world. But before they can go ahead, Gojo, a teacher at Jujutsu High School, a school that teaches sorcery and exorcism, comes to his rescue. He convinces the directors to let Yuta enroll in his school temporarily so that he can help him with his curse. But Yuta doesn't think he deserves a chance and asks to stay alone. He even mentions trying to isekai himself to stop hurting other people, but Rika stopped him. Gojo tells him that his curse can also save people if he uses it right, and if he goes to his school, he will make friends and never be alone again. He accepts the offer and makes his way to Jujutsu High. His new classmates are Maki, who uses cursed tools to exorcise curses, Toge, who uses cursed words, making him only speak in rice ball ingredients to not curse people unintentionally, and a panda named Panda. The students aren't very keen on meeting and getting to know Yuta, and they try to ignore him before he even enters. But when he walks into the class, they can't ignore the dark curse aura that his body emits from Rika, who's protecting him. Before Yuta can even say his name, he's immediately attacked by the three students, ready to exorcise the curse and kill him. That's when Gojo decides to tell Yuta that the school is for exorcists to learn about exorcism, which Yuta didn't know. He tells the other three to back away from Yuta as Rika feels the threat and comes out to protect him from bullies like she always has since she died. Gojo begins their first lesson of the day, which is also a mission. They pair up in twos, and Yuta ends up with Maki. While they walk, Yuta tries to make conversation with Maki, but she deduces his past life of being bullied and then turning to Rika to take care of the problem. She doesn't like that Yuta is being protected by a curse, and he's still getting bullied. Because he feels guilty for the curse, Yuta agrees that he's been pathetic and Maki is right. Still feeling sorry for himself, Gojo takes them to an elementary school where a curse abducted 2 children. Their job is to exorcise the curse and save the children. A barrier veil is cast around the school to reveal the curses and hide their work from the public. Yuta is scared, and suddenly 3 curses appear, and Yuta doesn't even know what to do. Maki tells him that he should be careful with the curses, which are alone because they are stronger than the ones in groups. She gets in action, and in one swoop, she annihilates the 3 curses. Yuta is impressed by her strength but is still scared, especially when Maki tells him that they need to go inside the school building. Yuta is shivering all the way inside, with curses lurking in the dark corners. Maki sees the low-grade curses that are scared to even appear in front of them. She thinks that they fear Rika's presence. She asks to see Yuta's student ID and finds that he's an S-rank student, which is higher than rank 1, the highest grade in Jujutsu sorcery. Suddenly, Yuta points to a huge curse, coming from behind her, forcing its way to them. The force causes the walls and windows to break, and the curse bursts through the roof, sending Maki and Yuta flying out into the air and then falling into its mouth. Now the 2 are stuck inside, and they have no way of getting out without outside help. Maki is mad that Rika didn't show up to protect Yuta, and Yuta can't even defend her. He has no idea how she decides when to come out. The only thing they can do is wait. Looking around, they see 2 kids inside the stomach, with one lying down affected by the curse and close to death. Maki suddenly gets affected by the curse and collapses to the floor as curse eyes appear on her body. The boy starts crying, making Yuta realize that he can't do anything to help. Even when they are about to die, Maki briefly wakes up and handles Yuta, asking him what his reason for coming to Jujutsu High is. Yuta tells her that he doesn't want to be alone, but at the same time, he doesn't want to see other people hurt. He just wants to live freely. Maki tells him that he needs to practice exorcism and become confident. If he does, he'll find friends, and his dream will come true. She then collapses to the floor again after motivating Yuta to not give up. Yuta, with a new motivation, takes the ring that Rika gave him when they were young and puts it on his finger, asking Rika to lend him her strength. Rika accepts and bursts through the curse that has swallowed them and attacks it. Yuta takes Maki and the kids and slowly walks to the gate while Rika destroys the other curse. While moving, he senses a young Rika encouraging him to not give up, giving him the strength to keep walking to the gate. Gojo commends them for succeeding and takes them to the hospital. Yuta is relieved that Maki's kids will be alright, but he's worried. Even though he's glad that he was able to call Rika on his own, the hospital reminds him of the time he met Rika there. He thinks that he is the one who cursed and turned her into a monster. Gojo agrees, explaining that love is the most powerful type of curse. He gets determined to break Rika's curse and free her. Gojo decides to take him to a room with many cursed tools. He tells him that to be able to break Rika's curse, he needs to identify types of cursed energy and study them because he's the only one who can break the curse. He gives him a sword and tells him to diffuse Rika's cursed energy into the sword to control it better. But first, he needs to train how to wield a sword, and then he can move to imbuing the curse into the sword. Yuta gets to training with Maki. He manages to hold up a little against her but gets distracted, causing Maki to land a blow on his face. He tries to position himself better and tries to attack again, but Maki, being the expert, doesn't give him a chance and wins. Yuta remembers that he needs to get better for Rika and asks for another match. He slowly starts improving his moves and personality, becoming more determined and eager to learn and fight. During another training day, Gojo asks him to accompany Toge on a mission and observe so he can better understand all cursed energy. Yuta is scared of Toge because Toge only speaks in food. Gojo tells Yuta before he leaves, he should never let Rika out because she might not go back inside like she always does. Yuta and Toge arrive at the shopping district and get inside the barrier. They start to walk around until they find curses appearing as a school of fish in formation. Toye screams explode, and they explode instantly. The two think they completed the mission, but the barrier doesn't disappear. When they return to the exit, suddenly a high-grade curse appears behind them and manifests explosive beams on them. Toge tries to counter it with a twisting command but only gets the curse's hand to twist before he falls to the ground in throat pain. Yuta gets him out of the way of another explosion and around the corner while hiding. Yuta realizes that the curse is just sitting at the exit and isn't looking for them, and their only way to get out is to fight the curse no matter what. Toge gets up and walks away from Yuta, wanting to do it by himself. Yuta starts to realize that Toge is a kind person, he's just misunderstood. He was born with the ability to curse other people with his words and has unintentionally hurt other people while growing up. So, he avoids talking and only speaks in food ingredient code. Yuta doesn't want Toge to take on the burden by himself when he's also there and has vowed to protect others as well. They arrive at the exit, and Yuta pulls out his sword and imbues Rika's power into it and attacks the curse. The curse attacks Yuta back immediately, not giving him any chance to counter. As he keeps dodging, he manages to get close to the curse and cuts it with the sword, but it's only a small scratch to the curse. This makes him realize that Toge is the only one who can do this. He gets the throat spray that Toge dropped earlier and throws it to him. Toge catches it and gulps it down before commanding the curse to get crushed. The monster gets crushed out of existence, marking their mission together as a success. They walk back to the exit, but they don't notice a man sitting above. He's watching everything play out and pulls out a student ID, which he picked up after the first exorcism mission. His name is Geto, an S-rank sorcerer that uses curse manipulation. He was banished from their school for cursing 100 people to death. He hates ordinary people who can't use curses, and despite being Gojo's best friend, he doesn't agree with him or the Exorcist Society. After learning about Yuta and Rika, he's been following Yuta around to take Rika from him. The two students return to school, and Maki continues to train Yuta but refuses to teach him anything about cursed energy. Yuta suddenly gets a bad feeling. A large pelican suddenly drops in front of them, carrying Geto and his squad. The four students take a stance to defend the school and ask the intruders to leave. Geto quickly introduces himself to Yuta and asks him to join his side so they can go on to kill everyone who doesn't use sorcery. Gojo arrives in time and tells him to step away from his students. Yuta tells Geto that he doesn't want to help someone who insults his friends after Geto calls Maki a monkey who failed her clan. Geto apologizes to Yuta and tells him and the others that he came to declare war. He'll be holding a night parade of 100 demons to commit a massacre through his 2,000 curses. He invites the Jujutsu High Sorcerers to come and stop him if they wish to and leaves. The day of the night parade comes, and the Jujutsu Sorcerers take positions in the place as Geto told them. He'll be getting ready to eliminate any threat and defeat Geto. Toge and Panda will go on the offensive while Maki stays at school with Yuta because he's still a newbie there. Yuta asks Maki why Geto called her a failure. She explains that she's an ordinary person who belongs to one of the 3 major elite clan sorcerers. She's only able to see and exercise curses through her glasses and weapon, which have someone else's cursed energy, making her a failure in her clan's eyes. Yet, Yuta praises her for becoming a Jujutsu sorcerer even when she isn't a curse user. She has the determination and strength to learn to become something she's not, just to realize her dreams of destroying her clan. She gets embarrassed by the praise and leaves the class, trying to convince herself that she hasn't been accepted and should remain bitter. Just soon after, the presence of Geto is felt as he veils the area. He wants to kill Yuta and take Rika, the queen of all curses, to control her and kill every person who isn't an exorcist. Maki quickly welcomes him with hostility. Toge and Panda arrive at the school after Gojo figures out Geto's plan and sends them to protect Yuta and Maki. However, by the time they break the barrier, Geto is finished with Maki and is waiting to decide whom to take care of first. Panda immediately attacks Geto, but Geto dodges the attacks being dished out by Panda and manages to use some of his curses to distract him and maneuver behind him to ambush him. But Panda is just too smart. He knocks Geto with a curse-imbued fist, sending him flying. Geto manages to get back up during the attacks and continues to use the curses he gets a hold of. Maki's curse tool and stabs Panda from behind as Panda falls to the ground. Toge arrives and curses Geto with a command. He and Panda rush to check on Maki, but Geto appears behind them with an extra-large curse, leaving Yuta scared for what is happening outside. Geto deals with all the rest of Toge's clan. On it, he then uses it to tell Geto's curses to die, and they start exploding. Geto acknowledges that Yuta is no match for his low-grade curses, especially when he's fueled by anger and hate. He pulls out his cursed weapon to kill him with his own hands. Yuta uses his sword and charges at Geto with Rika, but even so, Geto doesn't go down at all. He blocks both at the same time. Yuta tells Geto that his ideals are childish when Geto starts to get philosophical. Geto gets an ending him flying. Geto gets back up and promises he will not hold back and kill him. He then combines 4,000 curses into one to create an S-rank curse. While the curse is combined, Yuta starts to remember the moments he spent with Rika. He tells her that he loves her and promises to give her everything if she uses her full power while giving her a kiss. Rika hears a promise of being together in the afterlife, and she accepts. She starts transforming and opens an eye. She shouts that she loves him and unloads him and thanks him for allowing her to stay with him for a little longer. She disintegrates into bubbles while telling Yuta she will be waiting for him. But